Today's video, we're going to talk about the disapprove for image quality ad disapproval reason on Google Ads, specifically when running Google display ads, banner ads, responsive display ads, all of it. If you're getting this specific warning, this video and process specifically is going to be able to help you dig your way out of the problem that you have. And obviously, in a large chunk of your guys' situations, you have good results with the Google display campaign that you've been running, maybe potentially for years already, and this problem has came up, totally stopping you from getting those results given that one ad or group of ads, given you got a wider hit on your account, was actually pulling in the most and decent results for you versus other ads. And so ultimately, otherwise, you would probably, if you weren't getting good results with that ad, you wouldn't be here watching this video. You would just cancel the ad, try something else entirely. So in the situation that you need that ad back, this is the best way to go about getting that ad back, given also going through Google support is basically going to be a waste of time. And for that matter, there is an actual process that you can go through. Despite what you might find online that's going to give you very generic advice on what to do, that advice, for the most part, is total garbage. This is the actual advice that's going to get you through onto the other side of the promised land where your campaign's going again, making the money that it was making. So with that said, I'll get right into the content. So this ad disapproval reason comes from seemingly random, randomly out of nowhere, basically. You have ran the ad for months, if not years already, bang, all of a sudden you get disapproval. Get this disapproval reason to show up on your account, specifically for an ad. And then usually what happens is bang, 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 bang. All of your ads start getting it at, about the same time. If you have similar ads that are similar to, the original ad that got disapproved. And if you're like us at our PPC agency, we're not just going to make one ad in one ad size. We'll have an ad that works. Or if it does work, you should absolutely follow suit. You should have the ad made in other ad sizes so that you can get as much coverage across the web as you can. Of course, if you're running responsive display ads, you don't have different sizes. But if you're running regular banner ads, there's like 30 different ad sizes you can do now. And the more ad sizes you have, the more coverage you will have across the web and to your audience that you're targeting that potentially is working for you, which would expand the amount of profits you can make from that campaign. So, Google's review ad algorithm is very choppy nowadays, and we know that because one ad that's exactly the same as another ad will get disapproved, whereas the other ad doesn't get disapproved. This is the case across the board for all ad disapproval reasons and all different counts and different niches. We manage dozens of accounts for clients at any given time on Google Ads accounts, and this is the case. And also the case with this disapproved for image quality reason. All you should basically know though is if you got an ad disapproved today, more than likely a similar ad to that, it's just made in a different size, will get approved tomorrow or next month or next year, but it'll eventually get disapproved because this is it's inevitable basically. But it's not, even though it seems random though, going back to the topic at hand here, it's not so random. There are specific reasons why, and we know because we have lots and lots of trouble with this with our clients and have in the past and have experimented with different things to be able to fix the problem. And so there's specific reasons, in other words, that cause this problem. And then with that, when you know what's causing the problem, you can of course work around or fix the problem. The two main reasons now then with that you're going to have this ad disapproved is as follows. One, which these seem overly generic, I realize that, but there's no other way for me to encapsulate the two main reasons here without getting into super specific situations. The first of which though, on these reasons of why your ad got disapproved for image quality is blurry foreground objects. So in other words, if you have your ad, the main objects of the ad that is in center focus, the product, the model that's on the ad, what have you, or a blurry background object. You have just a background pattern if you took a photograph outside of a car, the background that's behind the car, basically, a building or whatever it is that's back there, that could be actually what's causing the disapproval reason. Either or, and depending on what, which one's blurry, if you will, is going to actually cause your disapproval for image quality to crop up. So with that said, this still seems like, I know, the generic bullshit advice that you see online. Promise you, we're getting to the good part here. So if you've had a good result, though, like I mentioned before with your ad, and now you've had this issue come up and you're banging your head against the wall on trying to fix this issue so that you can get back to the results you had with your campaign, I can tell you right off the top, filing an appeal isn't going to help you. And even if it does happen to help you, which, by the way, there's a secret if it would actually help you or can actually help you. In some cases, it actually can. I don't want to say this is a absolutely for sure thing, but if you do want to get it to help you, you file the appeal and then you appeal it 2 more times. The third appeal that you do on that ad will get to a manual reviewer, and then you can have your ad potentially approved then, because if it's a false warning. What I'm telling you on this video is it's generally not for a false warning, so appeal is, even if you get to the point where you finally get to a human reviewer, it's not going to obviously help you. And by the way, contacting Google support anymore first of all, even if you get through to a human reviewer or a human support person through Google support on the phone, which anymore it's very hard for the average person to get through to a customer support person through the phone at Google. They're going to tell you to just do the same thing, file an appeal. They don't have any special magical powers and special level of, they can't do anything out of what you can do for this, basically, unfortunately. So don't waste your time with it. And by the way, as a side, if you ever need to get through to Google support, you can't do it through the phone because you don't have a big enough account or not enough pull with Google, which, by the way, we have that pull with Google. I can get a hold of Google support on the phone and get through to the review department. If you ever have a question you need to get through to Google, contact our firm at Guarantee PPC. I'll do it for you for no cost. Ultimately, you can go through Google Chat and get support that way. But again, in this case, isn't going to really help you. They're going to tell you to appeal it, and if that doesn't work, they're going to sit there and say, "Oh no," and you get nowhere with it. It's not going to help you. But you could get through to chat support, which you can do that. You can search online for that. But essentially, going back to the topic here, you could try to file an appeal. Might as well just get that done in case it really is a false positive. 90+% of the time, it won't be a false positive. The appeal won't help you, even if you appeal 3 times. But you don't want to just go and use a new ad, because guess what? Because of Google's ad algorithm and how all your results on Google Ads predicated on the results that you've had before, in that Google has an ad matching algorithm that figures out where your ads do well and where it doesn't do well. From the websites it does well to the type of people that it does well with. And there's millions of data points that they're scanning through, so that when you get a conversion, a sale, or what have you, it understands of those millions of data points, what unique data points were unique to those unique people that got you the sale for a profitable rate that you can afford and is profitable to your company, to get you more of it. With that, part of the equation as to where it needs to figure out where it can get you success on the Google Display Network is with the ad, because you could have the same people, but with a different ad, you're not going to get the same results with a different ad as you would with the ad that you had. So when you switch up to a different ad to get away or avoid this disapproved for image quality ad disapproval reason, you're basically having to reset the learning that campaign had to go through potentially for years to get you the results you have today, because you switched the ad. So obviously in that situation, but you may already know it, but if you don't know it, switching the ad, you may be starting completely from scratch again. The reality is, by the way, you're not going to be starting completely from scratch. It's going to use whatever it learned about what audiences that you're targeting worked, and then it's going to try to figure out if that ad will work just as good, and it'll learn fairly quickly. But the reality is, though, what you won't be able to move around is the fact that the ad that you're using probably had, it just got good results with the audience that Google found that works for you. And that new ad is not going to perform the same way, so you may only have half the return as the old ad because it's just fundamentally doesn't have the features that made the initial ad that got disapproved successful. And then with that new ad, if it can't find the results, guess what? It's going to forget about what it learned about what audiences did work for the old ad and try to find new audiences for the new ad. And now it really will kick back into learning mode. And anytime it kicks back into learning mode, all the results you had goes out the window for the most part. So anyway, there's a lot to consider here. And as frustrating as it is to try to get this ad approved, you're throwing away potentially a lot of results into the toilet by doing that. Upwards of years worth of ad spend that you had to spend to get the data that tells the campaign how to work. And you don't want to do it. And even if you did have a new ad, you could build up all your results again and then have the same problem all over again. And then, which is insanity to keep having to have the same problem occur to you over and over again, having to spend money to build up to a certain level of results, then having the rug pulled out from underneath you and then having to build up the results again. It's much better to just figure out how to get the right ad. So you have the firm foundation that when you spend the money, build up the data that's going to tell your campaign how to work, you actually are able to profit and cash out on it long term. Anyway, here's specifically how to work around the situation so that you don't have to switch the ad and have your results potentially go down to 0 and start from 0 again, even though you probably won't go to total 0. But for the most part, why even bother going and taking a huge haircut on your results if you don't have to? Certain situations, if your ad's just so screwed up in terms of it being blurry and that kind of thing, you may just have to change it up on the ad. Unfortunately, the results you got are going to kind of have to go away. But for most of you guys, 90+% of you guys who have the ad disapproved, you can revive the ad to be almost identical to the original ad and not have this ad disapproval reason come up anymore for you, okay? So the first thing you're going to do, if you have several ads of the same type, you're only going to work on and test one ad. With that one ad, you'll figure out the types of things you need to do with the rest of the ads to get all the ads to be approved and not have an issue anymore. And so the first step in this plan, the tried and true trusty plan that I had to fix this problem for the clients that we have, is to find the core design file used to produce the ad originally. So that means like an Adobe Illustrator file, or more importantly, like a Adobe Photoshop file, design file of that banner ad that you're running. Or of course, if you made a responsive display ad, if you're using more than just a photograph for the ad, because you took the image that you uploaded for the responsive display ad, if that was actually modified or changed or designed in Photoshop originally, then you get the Photoshop file that has the core design elements and file that image ad was created by and from. All right? If you don't know anything about Adobe Photoshop and graphics design and all that, somebody else does that at your company or you outsource that to somebody else. The main thing with it is with Adobe Photoshop, everything is done through layers, okay? So you could make an image and each element on the image itself is a different layer. And you can arrange the layers so that certain elements are underneath or above certain other elements, and you can take certain elements and move them around. And that's how design is basically done. So as it comes to getting your hands on the Photoshop file that was made, that you used to make the image ads that are now disapproved for the image quality, disapproved for image quality itself, you can actually now take apart and diagnose potentially what's in that ad that actually caused the disapproval reason to begin with, the core issue. So if you have the Photoshop file that created the ad in which got disapproved, or ads that got disapproved, like I said, multiple ads potentially, you could then isolate out elements in that ad from using the different layers of the image itself within Photoshop. So most of the time you'll go in there, even if you're not a designer, if you opened up Photoshop and got that program, the different layers you can hide or make the layers visible. So you could just take out an individual layer save the ad again, and then the ad will be exactly the same, but it won't have that one layer on it. So if you are kind of following me here so far, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. You could potentially do testing on your ad to try to get your ad approved, and with the goal being, how can we change as little as possible about our current ad to preserve the results that we're getting while still not having the ad disapproval reason to pop up anymore for us. So with that, you could take the ad and create different versions of your ad, all missing just one layer at a time from the ad. And then with that, so if your ad had 10 elements in the ad, all with 10 different layers itself, you could make 10 different versions of that ad that got disapproved in Google. Each ad has just one of the elements missing because you hid the layer within Photoshop for that element that's within the ad. And then you upload those 10 versions of the ad to Google as a test and see which ones get approved, which ones don't get approved for image quality reasons, or the image quality disapproval reason, should I say. And what you should find then, now you're creating a process of elimination, you'll be able to find that one element within the ad that's getting it disapproved. So, which by the way, because of a lot of times the issue, the ad disapproval reason comes up to begin with, it's the background, which is where a lot of people get confused because they say my ad isn't blurry. Really, the background of the image is blurry, at least as per what Google's review algorithm has determined, or how it determines blurry images and blurry ads. So one of the ads that you're going to test is all the foreground images are going to be the same, but the background's no longer going to be there. So maybe you just have a plain white background or a solid color background, but you're not going to have the background that's there. In this situation, you had a photograph outside of a car, going back to that example I mentioned before. You could literally, there's a way to take out, the background and leave the car and leave the main elements that the photograph is supposed to focus on as the, what you're taking a picture of, but then select the background and then delete the background and then just leave the background another color or white or whatever, so that you can see if the background's the issue or the foreground objects are the issue, because sometimes it is the background issue. It is the background causing the issue. For what I've found, it's kind of like 50-50. Sometimes it is the foreground issues, depending on if the photograph was constructed from poor quality photography. It's the foreground images where the foreground images cause this ad disapproval reason specifically. If we're talking about working with high quality, high res imagery, it's usually the background that's causing the issue itself on the ad. So, and a lot of times you can't tell just by looking at the ad what the issue is. Obviously, if you could, you would probably be here watching this video. But ultimately, even if you could, obviously you know already by this point in the video that a lot of times what causes the ad disapproval reason, or if it wasn't apparent already, it's one individual part of that ad, not the overall ad as a whole. The key thing here is that there's one part of that ad that Google says is too blurry, and that's all it takes for the ad to get disapproved. And if you just take that one element out, you're good. Whether that one element is the background, is that element a decoration in the corner, whatever it is. So anyway, if you create 10 different versions of the ad, each with one layer removed, you can find out which layer is causing the problem. Though that said, as a last thing to mention here, your goal isn't then to just randomly go ahead and try to take that element out or fix it. What I'm going to do to make sure that going back to what we were talking about before, to preserve as much of the results of our campaign that we had going before as possible, given that even a tiny little change to your ad can throw off the entire results that you had and the entire progress you had on that display campaign, given people respond very differently to different ads for different reasons. You can change an ad so that the background's like green instead of pink, and that can throw off the entire learning of the campaign to where it is going back to zero just from that change. So don't underestimate, if you find out that the background's screwing up the ad and getting the ad disapproval for poor image quality, don't underestimate just let's just swap that out and you're done, because small changes really can totally wreck a campaign's progress. And not only that, if you do actually switch the background out and put a different one in there thinking, oh, that won't affect my results. If it does fuck up your results, by the time you figure out that it is going to fuck up your results, it's already too late. You're not going to switch the ad back and try to recoup and reinstall that, but in a slightly different, less aggressive or less. I don't know why you're drawing a blank here. To where you're not changing as much about what it was. So to make sure that you don't have the performance of the ad get thrown off. By the time the algorithm has ran the new version that's more different than it needed to be to get approved, once it's done it for a while, even if you put it back the way that it was, it's already too late. The algorithm's not going to say, oh, the ad's back to where it was. All the ad algorithm knows is, holy shit, whatever we knew before isn't true anymore. And we know that because we've already got 1,000 clicks now. If we know 1,000 clicks is enough to know how an ad performs, so we've got to go back and we have to relearn everything we learned. And once it starts to do that, you're already too late. So basically, the longer it takes for you to figure out that the change you made was a big and significant enough change to really throw off the performance of the campaign, the more likely it is that you are not going to be able to roll back and go back to what you were doing before and a lesser aggressive version of a change itself to preserve the ad performance. So that you just have to know that. So you want to change as little as possible, because the bigger the change, the more likely it is that your campaign's results will get thrown off enough, but the ad algorithm that has gotten you the results that you have for that campaign so far will have to relearn everything again. So what can we do to take this element that we know is causing the problem, background, foreground, object, whatever it is, change it as little as possible to get the campaign so it won't be disapproved anymore? The easiest way to, of course, like I said, do that is to simply take out that element. But what if taking that element out is too big of a change for the algorithm? The ad performance gets changed enough that the ad algorithm has to go back into learning mode again, and we throw, all our results go in the toilet that we built up for years. A better option, generally speaking, to be more conservative about this and to make it the least likely for you to run into a problem with potentially losing your built up results for that campaign, is to take the element of question that you found in the third step that's causing the ad disapproval reason, and to make 10 different versions of it, some more aggressive changes than others, and then run those 10 versions of an ad in a test campaign. And when I say test campaign, do that in a different actual campaign. Don't do it in the campaign that's your money campaign where your results are already there. In another test campaign, run 10 versions of that ad and see which one will get approved. Maybe several will get approved. But you'll take the one that's approved, that's changed as little as possible about that one element that's changed, or that one element that was causing the issue to begin with, so that the end result is, in that money campaign that you've built up your results in, the new version of the ad is changed as little as possible to get away with not having this disapproved for image quality issue on your ad and your campaign anymore. And then now you can get back to what you were doing. You can get back to the results your campaign always had. And ultimately, the change was little enough that the performance of the ad changed little enough with the little change that you did, that for the most part, Google just thinks that the ad is always like it was. And you're back off to the races with the results that you're getting. And for that matter, if your ad performance changes, like the click-through rate and the conversion rate changes less than 10%, the algorithm's really not going to notice a difference between the ad you had before that was working and the new ad. So your goal is to keep under a 10% change. If you do that, you should be fine. And then obviously, you're not going to have any problems anymore. But you're also not going to have the campaign go back into learning mode, and your results that you've built up with the algorithm up to that point isn't going to go into the toilet for you. So anyway, that's the whole thing though. I know this seems kind of obvious, and also maybe seem a bit tedious. This is the way that you're going to go about doing it so that You don't risk screwing up your results. If you have no results, you could take some shortcuts, but I'm telling you, it's not that hard to screw up your results on your campaign that you've built up over a long period of time. Changing your ad, even the little parts of your ad. It's, as far as your ad goes, what makes up the results you get from an ad is the combination of all the elements in the ad and they working together. So if you take out one small element, other parts of the ad won't be as effective as if you had that element there. Effective use of white space in an ad, it may not be white space, but as people call white space in an ad, the effective use of the white space matters a lot. So if you add, and the balance of the ad, is the ad well balanced? What is the order in which your eye scans the ad? If you take out one element, your eyes are not going to scan the ad in the same way as it did before, like what you look at first versus second. And I can tell you just from experience, the order in which you scan the ad is dictates the results. Given that if you don't scan the ad in the right order, it won't be as abundantly clear what the point of the ad is that you're supposed to get, as it would if it were more obvious what to focus on first. So if you take out one element, and your eye doesn't focus on what it usually focused on first, and it focuses on something else, the whole performance of that ad can be thrown off. So anyway, you get the general gist of what I'm trying to say here. Little changes actually can be big changes as far as how the ad actually performs. Even if it looks like a little change to you, it could certainly be one that totally screws up your entire results of that campaign. So, but anyway, with that, I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you understood what I was trying to convey here. And if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would give it a like and consider subscribing, as I have lots of information on this channel about how to make money with PPC, Google ads, Facebook ads, and so forth, as I manage about 4 dozen PPC accounts at any given time for clients doing the strategy at our agency. So as far as learning from somebody who's out there in the trenches doing it, you're not going to find a better channel than this, or at the very least a very small handful of channels here on YouTube of people who actually know what they're doing and have real tests to go by to know what works and what doesn't work in a variety of different markets that you're going to find on this channel. I also, by the way, have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog, where I also have written a variety of content on how to make money with PPC, how to build campaigns like we're building them for our clients to guarantee the results at our PPC firm, and which you may also want to learn from as well. We have to guarantee results for our clients at our agency. So what you're getting is how we actually are able to guarantee results for our clients. And so with that, you may want to check that out as well. It's a great supplementary piece of information that you can use to figure out PPC for your market that kind of goes hand in hand with what we have on this channel. Beyond that, if you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel. Also, with that said, if you have any questions about PPC in general at all, you can always leave me a comment. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question about PPC, whether it's about the topic at hand or not. And lastly, I just also want to mention that we have a brand new PPC program at our agency where we're also offering turnkey PPC campaigns. So if you're looking for results in XYZ market, if we've worked in your market already and we're not operating in the market that you're in geographically, you can copy and paste the results that we get in that market in a different geography to your account in your own market there in geographical market, and get the same results we're getting for a client in a different market for your market, and not have to do barely any work. All you would need to do is pay us a one-time fee to copy and paste the results we're getting for that market in a different city or different country into your account, and you would already know before doing that what kind of results you're going to get for yourself, as we're transparent about the type of results you can get in that market, for yourself before you would even go ahead and do that. And this is actually, I made this an actual part of our business, in that we've had people that want to start new businesses up, and instead of trying to figure out how to do PPC, for their market or in general, They literally go through our few dozen markets where we already have multi-million-dollar a year sales results doing Google ads or Facebook ads in that market. Know what the results are in that market, start a business up doing that, copy paste the results of the campaigns, landing pages, everything we have for that market into their accounts, turn it on, mark up the prices by 10% of what they're selling, outsource it to a local partner, and have a passive income business basically going for their company already. So if you're looking for a great business opportunity, you should reach out to us and find out what we have available as far as results and what markets. And we may also just have the results for your market already. And as far as doing all the work to figure out how to do it for your market when we've already done it for your market, and you can literally copy and paste the results in your account for your market, it'd be really stupid to have to waste all the time learning how to do what we spent years figuring out for that market already and which already works. So we would know what kind of results we can get you using that in your market before you even start. So anyway, if you're interested in that, you can reach out to our firm. I'll let you know what results we have and in what markets. As long as there's no conflict of interest between you and the people that we're working with or have worked in the past, you can get those results for your market as well. We'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next video where we have another great strategy for you there to make some more money with your PPC ads, Google, Facebook, and so forth. See you there.